9 signs that reveal you're secretly exhausted. Many people assume burnout only happens when you collapse, when you can't get out of bed, or when tears and breakdowns finally force you to stop. But exhaustion doesn't always announce itself so loudly. Sometimes it arrives quietly. You still function, you still smile, you still show up. But inside it feels like you're running on empty, mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. In this video, we'll go through 9 scientifically grounded signs that reveal you might be secretly exhausted, even if everything seems fine on the outside. Number 1. You wake up tired, even after a full night's sleep. This is one of the earliest and clearest signs that your fatigue goes deeper than just physical tiredness. You sleep, but it doesn't restore you. You wake up, and instead of feeling refreshed, you already want to crawl back into bed. Why? Because your body might be resting, but your mind never does. When your brain stays tense, replaying thoughts, solving problems, worrying about the next day, your nervous system remains on alert. Cortisol, the stress hormone, stays elevated even during sleep. This means your brain doesn't fully enter the restorative stages of rest, especially deep sleep, slow-wave sleep, and REM, which are crucial for mental recovery. So you wake up with the same mental load you carried to bed. That's not laziness, that's a nervous system that never got to switch off. If you've been feeling like every day starts halfway drained, it's a quiet alarm your body is sending. You're not recharging anymore, you're only surviving. Number 2, you've lost interest in things you once enjoyed. Remember when certain things used to light you up? Music, a hobby, a favorite cafe, or even spending time with friends? Now, they just feel dull. This isn't a sudden change in taste. It's a sign of emotional exhaustion. And in psychology, it has a name: anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure. Chronic stress slowly lowers your brain's dopamine levels. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation, excitement, and the feeling of reward. When it's depleted, even the things that once made you happy stop triggering that spark. You might start to wonder, what's wrong with me? Why don't I care about anything anymore? But nothing's wrong with you. Your brain is simply conserving energy, like turning off non-essential systems to keep the basics running. The joy isn't gone forever. It's just muted, waiting for recovery. But if you've stopped enjoying what used to make you feel alive, it's not boredom, it's your mind asking for rest. Number 3, you constantly pretend to be fine around others. This one's more common than most people realize. You keep smiling, joking, and saying "I'm good," even when you are falling apart inside. Psychologists call this emotional masking, the act of suppressing your true emotions to appear stable or to avoid worrying others. It's a survival mechanism, but ironically, it drains you even faster. When you fake being fine, you create 2 versions of yourself, the one the world sees and the one that quietly suffers beneath the mask. Maintaining that duality takes enormous emotional effort. Over time, your brain associates social interactions with exhaustion instead of connection. You might start avoiding people, not because you dislike them, but because pretending to be okay has become too heavy. And here's the thing. Exhaustion doesn't always look sad or tired. Sometimes it looks like you being the strong one, the funny one, or the responsible one. But when your performance becomes your protection, that's when burnout hides best. Number 4, you overreact or get irritated by small things. When you're secretly exhausted, your tolerance for stress shrinks dramatically. Little inconveniences, traffic, noise, a delayed message, suddenly feel unbearable. This isn't because you're becoming moody or irrational, it's neurological. When your brain is overloaded, the amygdala, the part responsible for emotional reactions, becomes hypersensitive. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the rational part that helps you regulate emotions, becomes underactive. The result? You explode over things that wouldn't have bothered you a month ago. You cry over small frustrations. You feel embarrassed by your reactions, which only adds guilt and shame to the fatigue. Your emotional system is like an overstretched rubber band. It doesn't take much for it to snap. So, if you've been overreacting lately, it doesn't mean you're too emotional. It means your brain is waving a white flag, asking for recovery time. Number 5, you struggle to focus or keep up with simple tasks. You sit down to work, but your brain feels foggy. You read the same sentence 3 times, and it still doesn't stick. Even simple decisions, replying to a message, sending an email, choosing what to eat, start to feel strangely overwhelming. This isn't a lack of discipline or motivation. It's your brain switching from growth mode to survival mode. When you're under chronic stress or fatigue, the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for attention, memory, and decision-making, becomes less active. Meanwhile, the brain redirects energy toward primitive survival systems that handle threat response. The result? Mental sluggishness, forgetfulness, and constant procrastination. You're not lazy. Your brain is conserving energy the same way a low-battery phone dims its screen to stay alive a bit longer. And here's the tricky part. The more you push yourself to focus harder, the worse it gets. Because forcing a tired brain doesn't sharpen it, it just burns it out faster. When your concentration fades, it's not weakness, it's a signal. Your brain isn't broken, it's begging for rest. Number 6. You escape through mindless distractions. You scroll endlessly, binge-watch shows, or snack without thinking. Maybe you dive into work, not because you're passionate, but because you are afraid of stopping. These behaviors aren't random, they're coping mechanisms. Psychologists call this psychological avoidance, the tendency to distract yourself from uncomfortable emotions like stress, emptiness, or anxiety. When your brain is exhausted, it seeks instant comfort. Scrolling through social media or watching videos releases quick bursts of dopamine, tiny hits of pleasure that momentarily soothe the discomfort. But that relief is temporary. Afterward, you often feel more drained, more disconnected, and more restless. Over time, this creates a loop: exhaustion, avoidance, more exhaustion. It feels like rest, but it's actually the opposite. You're numbing, not recovering. True rest doesn't always mean sleep or leisure. It means doing something that allows your nervous system to reset. So, if you notice you're constantly escaping through screens or snacks, it's not just bad habits, it's emotional survival. But you deserve more than survival. Number 7. You can't feel genuine joy, even in positive moments. Have you ever had something good happen, a compliment, an achievement, a beautiful day, and felt nothing? Like your mind recognizes it's supposed to be a happy moment, but your body doesn't react? That's called emotional numbness, and it's one of the clearest signs of deep mental fatigue. After prolonged stress, your brain protects itself by turning down emotional sensitivity. It's like a safety feature. If everything feels overwhelming, it numbs everything. Not just the pain, but that also means joy, excitement, and love feel distant, muted, or unreal. You might catch yourself smiling out of habit, but not feeling it. You know you should be happy, you just can't access it anymore. This doesn't mean you've lost your ability to feel permanently. It means your emotional system has gone into hibernation. When you allow your mind to rest and recover, through stillness, connection, or even just permission to feel again, joy gradually returns. But forcing happiness never works. You can't pour energy from an empty cup. Number 8. You feel lonely even when surrounded by people. You're in a room full of friends, yet you feel detached. Conversations blur. Smiles feel distant. You nod along, but you're not really there. This is another subtle sign of exhaustion, emotional disconnection. When you're mentally drained, your brain begins to conserve emotional energy by withdrawing from deep connection. It's not that you've stopped caring about people, you're just too tired to engage. Your brain's empathy circuits, the areas involved in emotional resonance and social bonding, require energy to function properly. When that energy runs out, social interaction starts to feel like work. So, even though you crave comfort and understanding, you might find yourself pulling away. You cancel plans, stop replying, or zone out during conversations, not because you're cold, but because you're trying to protect what little energy remains. The irony is, this withdrawal often makes the exhaustion worse, because connection is one of the most powerful ways to restore emotional balance. If you feel lonely despite being around people, it's not isolation, it's your mind signaling that it's too tired to connect. Number 9, you often ask yourself, what's the point of all this? When your mind is deeply exhausted, your sense of purpose begins to fade. You start questioning everything, your job, your goals, even your relationships. Things that once felt meaningful now seem pointless or empty. This isn't a sign of weakness or failure, it's what psychologists call existential fatigue, a temporary loss of direction caused by prolonged mental and emotional overload. Here's what's really happening. Your brain has limited energy for higher-level thinking, like creativity, problem-solving, and meaning-making. When that energy runs low, the brain automatically prioritizes survival, the bare minimum needed to keep functioning. So instead of asking, "What do I want from life?" your mind quietly shifts to, "How do I get through today?" That mental narrowing can feel like hopelessness, but it's actually a biological conservation mechanism. Your brain is trying to protect you by shutting down non-essential processes until it has enough energy to care again. So when you catch yourself wondering what the point of it all is, don't rush to judge that feeling. It's not the end. It's a sign you need rest, recovery, and maybe a reconnection to things that feed your sense of meaning, not just your productivity. Purpose returns when energy does, but you can't rebuild purpose without first refilling the tank. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.